Robin's about to fight to the death in a Mortal Kombat style tournament before figuring out how he can bring Alfred back from the dead. This is the Comicstorian channel where I take some of your favorite trade paperbacks, I break them down, we cut out the B-plots, we cut down on the panels, and this allows us to bring you a narrative audio drama of the situation, letting you know what's going on in the world of comics, but we leave out enough that you can add them to your collection. And if you want to expand your collection, then I suggest using the app Shortbox. I'll give you the link down below, but it'll help you get some highly graded comics. Now, when we last left off with Robin, he had agreed to go to a death island, a place where you can die up to 3 times before permanently dying. He fought back and forth against various individuals, all to discover that Mother Soul was actually the mother of Ra's al Ghul, his own grandfather. She's apparently been confined to this island and is trying to feed the Lazarus pit beneath it so that a great demon will rise and conquer the planet. As Damian and all of his allies have now defeated the demon, to punish him, Mother Soul has breathed green fire all over Damian and seemingly sent him back into the past to learn the history of his own ancestors. While this is going on, Damian has also been dealing with the guilt of being the one who caused Alfred Pennyworth's death, so he's been seeing the ghost of Alfred here and there. Now we go back with Damian Wayne as he is now in the past, as I said. After seemingly having been taken to the past before Roz became the man that he is in the current day, Damian sneaks into the village after grabbing some clothes to try and blend in and figure out how to get back home. But as he passes by a strange altar, he sees a Mother's Soul, and she tells him to come and sit with her, pray to the demon with her. Damian walks over, knowing that this version of Mother's Soul doesn't know what he's going to do in the future. And he looks at the demon asking, "Wasn't that the statue that they found in Bisu?" Mother Soul says that he knows his history, and Damian says that he learned it from his mother. Mother Soul smiles, telling him that nothing beats a mother's love. Her son is the Sultan's physician. It gives her access to things that she shouldn't be able to. Knowledge of the demon and its place in the world. It is forbidden for her to read and write, but she trusts that he can keep their little secret. As Mother Soul holds a book, Damian asks if it's hers. Did she write it? And Mother Soul tells him that even before they arrived in the city, she has been plagued with visions. She begins to cough and continues, telling her that she's also gained a horrible sickness. But she knows that the demon will save her. Her visions told her so. Roz walks up and tells her praying to false idols is worthless. Science is the only truth. She has lost sight of that. The sickness has weakened her mind. Mother Soul begins to cough again, stating, "Don't mind her son, he's a kind soul, but..." And Roz rushes over trying to help her, insisting that she comes with him, that he can provide her with medicine. She looks up, telling him that the day that he was born, her brother looked at him and told her that Roz's destiny was to be mankind's savior or to destroy all that lives. As Mother Soul breathes her last breath, Ra's al Ghul screams for her passing, and Damian reaches out a hand to comfort him. But at that moment, Mother Soul thrusts her arm out, grabbing him by the neck. "Hello, my great-grandson!" The world suddenly stops, and Damian demands to know what is going on, and Mother Soul tells him that he is in desperate need of a lesson, young demon. Though we are traveling through the sands of time, in the time that you see before you, my son thought that my sickness clouded my mind, but instead it only opened my mind. Damian tries to fight back, but Mother Soul grabs him and holds him in place so that they can sink into the sands below, telling him, "You've disappointed me when you rejected your heritage, but I felt it best for you to see that my son was as bright as the stars in the heaven, but he's also as stubborn as a bull. Not long after my death, he began to have visions of a demon. Roz denied that they haunted him, and instead focused on his science. His obsession with cheating death inspired the creation of the Lazarus pits. But it was that very creation that led to the death of his wife Sora. He refused to let the earth consume her, and instead of finding fate, Ra's al Ghul found anger. He destroyed every trace of the demon. The city, its people, the history, the teachings all burned. But my son knew that he had one last act to prove his faith in his science. He had to inflict the Lazarus upon himself, and that when he was reborn and became Ra's al Ghul. He believed that he was mightier than any demon, so he chose a new name, the demon's head. With the success of the Lazarus pit, he then placed the bones of his deceased mother, me. And just as he knew it would, it brought me back to life. Roz watched as I rose, healed. He brought me my robes and treated me with respect. But Mother Soul lashed out, killing the servants, and Roz told her to control herself. Mother Soul shouted at him that he didn't see what she saw, that she was right about all of it. In the pit itself lives a demon. It showed her a horrible future that will only worsen until they are free of the demon, purge the planet, and start again. The demon is the only way. It was at that moment that Roz's views changed, and he knew that he had made a mistake. He had hoped that the Lazarus pit would heal her mind and body, but also heal her faith in the demon. And yet, all this did was strengthen his mother's desires to raise the demon. Roz created the League of Shadows to aid him in his quest to save the world from this monster. And the League of Assassins would kill anyone who got in his way. He then assembled the League of Lazarus to search for the locations where the pits had been created. And when the demon led her to this island, she knew that she had found something greater. Over the years, her faith in the demon has grown and spread, and many of the members of her son's own empire sided with her. The League of Lazarus no longer answers to Ra's al Ghul. They followed Mother Soul's gospel and believe in the demon. After that, they went to war. Mother versus son, League of Assassins and Shadows attacked the League of Lazarus. The victors would control the world's Lazarus pits, but they were only priests, so the war was short-lived. And the League of Lazarus was banished to this island by Ra's al Ghul, except he could not bring himself to kill his own mother. So he betrayed himself in a different way. He used the demon's magic, the one and only time. He created a spell that would curse her, bound her to the island, and then left her with the book. She shouted that he would be back, and that him calling on the demon only proved her right. But with all the curses and the spells, there was a catch. She and the priests studied the spell. It took centuries, but they found a way to manipulate it. She could never leave, but they could bring fighters to the island and hold a tournament every 100 years. Each time there was a winner, it would be fed to the Lazarus pits. Normally, that would resurrect them, but because they were alive, the magic in the pit would consume the winner. Damian asks, "Why are you telling me your origin story?" And Mother Soul tells him that her visions have passed to Roz, and that she believes that they may have been passed to him. Damian tells him that he doesn't have any powers, but Mother Soul grabs his head, telling him, "It's not power, it is a gift." Damian begins to see the visions. The demons that both Mother Soul and Roz saw, telling him that he must learn that no matter what path he chooses, the demon is a part of him. After a few moments, he says that if they are connected in her memories, that means that he is inside her head, where he can do the most damage. Whereas Mother Soul was in control, Damian asserts himself, taking control of the mind space, overpowering Mother Soul's influence on his own until he pushes her out completely. Back in the current time, the modern time where Damian was sent back, Mother Soul opens up her eyes shouting, and Ravager helps Damian up, asking him what happened. He says that this is Ra's al Ghul's mother, and Flatline yells out, "Whoa, twist!" Mother Soul continues to shout that the demon still lives in his blood, and Damian asks, what was the point of all of this? To prove it to Ra's al Ghul? Mother Soul yells that she would do anything for her son. Can he say the same for his mother or his father? She saw the truth. There are worse things coming to their world, and it needs to burn and be reborn. But then a voice shouts, "That is enough of your lies." Ra's al Ghul charges in with his assassins. "I should have killed you when I had a chance. It's time I corrected that mistake." As the dust settles around the arena, Damian stares as his grandfather, Ra's al Ghul, and Mother Soul begin their battle, and he asks Ra's what is he doing here. Mother Soul lunges at Ra's, asking how dare he set foot on her island. Did her tournaments finally get his attention? But before Damian can even intervene, his mother Talia tells him that much has happened since they last saw each other. They need to talk. But it appears the family reunion has already begun. Ra's raises his sword, shouting, I should have done this a long time ago and buried you in the sands forever. But before his blade could fall, Damian stands between him and Mother Soul, telling him to stop. There has already been enough killing here. Mother Soul has been defeated, and he wants answers from all of them. Roz stares for a moment but lowers his sword. You are a brave little demon to stand up to me. Very well. I and my mother have much to speak of anyway. Talia then tells her shadows to gather the League of Assassins and the League of Lazarus, but Damian stops her. How did you find me, Mother? She hands him a vial of glowing green liquid, telling him the Lazarus resin. It has come to their attention that their little family recipe for immortality has been filtered out into the world, that it's even being used to create zombies over in Gotham City. But it could only have come from so many locations, and once the tournament is done, the island revealed itself to them. One of the shadows returns, stating that Master Dusk has fled, and Talia scoffs, telling them that the snake couldn't have slithered far. The nearest island is Corto Maltese. But before Talia could give the order to follow, Damian says that he will find him. He and his friends have some unfinished business with Master Dusk, and after that, they will all have a very long talk. Talia watches and quietly asks, friends? So across the waters at Corto Maltese, the five of them walk through the streets as the island gets ready for its own sort of holiday. Damian says that they need to split up to cover more ground, and Flatline says that she'll go with him. Respawn walks off on his own, and Ravager tells the others to go on. She'll stick with him. As everyone breaks off, Ravager says that she understands why Hawk and Flatline are helping find Dusk. But what about him? Seems like he only joined to have a clean getaway from the island. Now, if she was like him, she'd stab him in the back. But there are better ways to find out who he really is. Respawn turns, asking, do you really want to see who I am? Fine. He takes off the mask. Ravager stares. What? How? Who else knows? And Respawn puts on his mask, telling her, just you. I've been alone for my whole life. Ravager then tells him that he isn't anymore. Come on. She's going to get him out of here before anyone else finds out who he really is. Back over on Lazarus Island, Talia tells the remaining contestants that there will be no League of Lazarus or Assassins. There will only be the Shadows. And each of them has a one-time offer to join them. If they leave now, the League of Shadows will consider them enemies. Sleep on it. But once she finishes the offer, she steps down into the lower levels of the islands, asking, how are things even going? Mother Soul screams, telling Roz that she wishes he was never born, and Roz looks over. Do you happen to have a muzzle? Roz continues to argue with her as she tries to turn Talia against Roz, but he tells her enough. Her ways are dated. They are not the way of the demon. She laughs, telling him that his very nature is to extend what should have died long ago. He is incapable of taking the steps needed to embrace true change. What could ever possibly change the great demon's head? Back over at Corto Maltese, Damian and Hawk sense a presence as they see Master Dusk by the docks getting ready to escape. Damian, Flatline, and Hawk begin to make short work of the remaining loyalist. And once that is all dealt with, Damian and Hawk leap into the air, delivering a dual kick to the head, knocking him out. Flatline says that it was easy enough to get Master Dusk. What do they do now? And Talia steps out of the shadows, stating that Dusk will be taken care of. He will never bother their family, or anyone else for that matter, ever again. And with that, against the wishes of Talia, Damian and Flatline decide to go and have one night of fun. They head off into the festivities, where Flatline is sitting with Damian, stating that Respawn and Ravager seem to have disappeared. Didn't even say goodbye. And Damian says that they're probably somewhere about to kill each other. Flatline asks Damian what is the deal with his manga anyway. She found him with it all the way back at the beginning of this adventure, and always wondered why he had a manga. He says that he found it one day in the streets of Gotham and he just enjoyed it. It was something for him. No one else had it, so he kept it secret. So often, everything he does is a part of some piece of cake. My mother, my father, even being Robin is a part of Batman. But the manga, it was mine. Does that make sense, Flatline? She smiles. Nika. My name is Nika. And you know we're tied, right? I killed you, you killed me. We need a tiebreaker. Damian says that he thinks they both know who would win. And Flatline leans in. Yeah, we do. As Damian and Flatline kiss, across the way, Roz smiles and Talia stares. Roz tells her, he really does take after his father, doesn't he? and Talia scoffs, walking away. The next morning, everyone says their goodbyes, and Flatline asks Damian what are his plans. Going to see his father? Damian tells her no, as he looks at the vial of Lazarus resin, a serum that will revive the dead. And as we've discovered in the Red Hood storyline, if an individual is given enough of it, they will fully revive from the dead and be fully human again. And Damian tells her that he has something he needs to do. At that moment, lightning strikes and the skies light up over the grave of Alfred Pennyworth. The skies were blue as the seagulls squawked and flew by, and Damian, as he sat by himself on a cliff reading his manga, smiles and tells the person nice try. But Hawk walks up telling him that he wasn't trying to sneak up on him this time. If anything, he thought he'd be gone. Damian says that he just wanted to make sure that everyone had gotten off of Lazarus Island safety. Speaking of, why are you still here? Hawk takes a seat, telling him that he'll remain here for a few more days before venturing out into the world. Any plans on how he's going to get back to Gotham? I have an idea, but it's really going to piss off my mother. Back in town, Talia rounds up the lingering remains of Dusk and his assassins, along with Mother Soul, as she continuously screams that the demon will return. He will burn the world down. Talia says that she takes it that there is no useful information from Mother Soul about her role in the Lazarus resin trade, and Roz tells her that she is right. Nothing of value. The woman is just as delusional as when I left her here. Talia then says it doesn't matter. They need to refocus on rebuilding the family empire. Her, him, and her son. Roz asks her, doesn't Damian wish to return to Gotham? And Talia says that Damian's exposure to Mother Soul's magic, well, due to that, she'd like to keep an eye on him. Soon the jet will be prepared to bring them all to Nepal, and once they're home, the three of them can have a long discussion about their family's history. But as Talia calls for her private jet, one of the shadows tells her that it's been stolen. Talia is stunned, demanding to know who would take Lazarus resin from the Ghul's, and then realizes Damian. And it's that night that we find Damian standing in front of Alfred Pennyworth's grave. He kneels down. He says that he was the first person to treat him with kindness, the first person who treated him with respect, the first one who had faith in him. He failed to protect him, but I can fix it. He takes out the vial of Lazarus resin, and he contemplates using it. And a voice tells him, go on, do it. Bring the old man back from the dead. Damian looks over to see another him. He would assume it's a clone, since that seems to be rather common with Damian, but no. It's pouring rain and this other version isn't wet. He's the lingering side effect of Mother Soul's magic, some kind of hallucination. The shadow pulls back, swinging. I am you! Everything everyone says about you! A risk, a killer, a monster, a sniveling brat, a mistake, a burden on your family, on your father, on this world. Everyone who looks at you knows about you, even Alfred. So go ahead and bring him back. Show Alfred what we really are. Damian looks at the vial of Lazarus resin and then looks at his shadow, smashing it against the grave. The shadow tackles him into a nearby hole. You fool! But after a few moments of nothingness, Damian pulls himself out, gripping the wet dirt. A hand reaches down to help him, and as Damian takes it, Talia helps him up, telling him that she's sorry. She was worried that Mother Soul magic had not fully run its course. She then looks over at the grave, asking, why didn't you resurrect him? Because I know the effects the Lazarus pit can have on someone. It puts something dark inside of you, and I wouldn't curse Alfred with that. It wouldn't really be him. Talia reaches out, telling him that he left before they could speak, and Damian smacks her hand away. What are we going to talk about? What could you even say? Before the tournament, you told me that I was there because I was a weapon. What's changed? She begins to state that she wanted to rebuild their empire, that she has made mistakes in the past, that she wants to, but Damian cuts her off. Let's just cut to the chase. The two of us, a fight to the death. That's what you really want to see, right? To make sure your weapon is ready for whatever war is coming? Go on, raise your sword, mother. This is the cycle of our lives. Roz hates his mother, and she hates Roz. Because of you and Batman, I know that I will never have children, because I would never subject them to the life that we live. Now come on and fight me. Damian lunges forward swinging, but Talia dodges his attack, telling him that they can break the cycle. You're right about everything. Our family has been broken for centuries. We can break this cycle together. I would like it if you stayed with me, not as a weapon, but as my son. Damian is stunned and pauses for a moment as he lets his body relax. I would be open to that. As the two leave, Talia says that they need to talk about his new friend, this flatline. She doesn't like her, and Damian tells her, I don't care, because I do. Meanwhile, over in Tokyo, Flatline sits on a throne of bones, reading the same manga that Damian was reading when a voice asks if she kept it. She jumps up, reaching for her bag, stating that she barely got off the island with it. His grew back, so no one noticed. She hands over the object, and a voice says, Goody goody. The Lazarus resin is strong, but not as strong as the blood of the demon. And as Lord Deathman holds up the heart that Flatline ripped out of Damian, he begins to laugh as his plan is beginning to come to fruition. And that concludes the Robin storyline, and I'm kind of happy we didn't get Alfred back in this manner. I think it would have been kind of sad if that was just what they did. Oh, Lazarus pit Alfred. No, we got to get him back in a better way if we ever do. Probably off of a reset or something like that, but anyway. I hope you guys enjoyed this Robin storyline. The next storyline that this now leads into is Shadow War, and we're going to be covering that very soon right here at the Comicstorian channel. So please consider joining us here and joining the channel. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to check out our Patreon, patreon.com/Comicstorian. And I'll see you next time right here.